Hello,
Hi.
welcome to That'll Be the Tism. We are on episode 11,
Mm,
which is incredible.
mm.
We are a podcast talking about our lives as late diagnosed ADHD and autistic people.
In the world and our lives, and sometimes not even about autism and ADHD.
We usually have segues throughout
Hmm.
the podcast into different topics that might have caught our attention. But yeah, welcome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. And I hope that you enjoy the podcast. We've got over 40 followers now on Spotify, which is exciting, and we somehow missed that happening.
We did, yes. We're sorry. Thank you for following us anyway. We'll
Yeah,
try and pay more attention in
we will.
the future.
We will try and pay more attention. And I've just remembered another thing that I'd forgotten to talk about.
Hmm.
It's kind of related to our social media because I got to the Diamond League in Duolingo,
Yes, you did.
which is an exciting thing that's happened to me. And it does mean that now I can stop paying attention as much to the leagues because I've unlocked them all. But I was very excited, and I might have neglected bedtime and bath time a little bit last night with my son because of Duolingo and needing to be in the bit to be promoted.
I did wonder if that's what you were doing because we have a friends quest, don't we? And it was like I'd done 2 points and you'd done like 10, and I'm like, what? What is she doing?
When
And then when it came up that you'd been promoted, I'm just like, oh, that's what that is. But there's no danger of us currently ending up in another Duolingo war at the moment because I am just doing the bare minimum.
well, I was, and then I realised that it was a possibility because I got a triple score thing that got extended, and then it got extended again, and I was like, oh, I can maybe do something with this, and then it became a thing. And I did successfully get promoted to the Diamond League, so I don't need now to care because on Duolingo, all of the things at the top unlock as you get into the leagues. Otherwise, it's just like an unlocked trophy, and that's just won't do at all.
Do you want me to tell you something disappointing?
Oh no.
When you go down the league, it goes away again. It's grey again.
Yeah, but I've seen it now.
Yeah, I know, but it's not unlocked anymore.
Oh, I haven't noticed that when I've done it before.
We've
Oh
never
well,
been in the Diamond League.
I've never been in the Diamond League, but it does it do it with other
I'm
leagues as
sure
well?
it does. I'm sure it's like it's greyed out because I thought, when you said before you wanted to see all the colours, and I thought, well, I've been in the Diamond League before, not to brag or anything, um, but a couple of times, in fact, and I can't see it. I'm currently just in the Pearl League, and the other two are locked.
But at least I've seen it.
At least you've seen it.
I've seen it once. I know I have achieved it. I took a screenshot and posted it on my social media.
Hmm.
Should have posted it on the Tism page as well, shouldn't I? Did you see that I posted about the gate the other day?
Yes, the gate.
Got past the
Please close
gate.
the gate, and you had to close the gate.
I did. It was ridiculous because it was like on a side street and it looked like it would have been someone like the postman and whatnot. And I know that they're busy, but when it says please close the gate, please keep the gate closed. And the thing is, I closed the gate and then I thought, oh, I should have taken a picture of that because that's a really autistic thing that I've just had to do because it bothered me. And then I've really contemplated seriously opening the gate, taking a picture, and then closing the gate again. And then I decided that I was thinking about it too much and I should just go about my day. And so I just posted about it being a gate that I'd had to close. Do you do that?
I mean, I don't really pass a lot of gates in my
Right,
life
that's fair.
because I
There's,
don't go anywhere.
there's a
But
thing. There's a thing at the showers at Toko where it says on the outside of the showers, please close the shower doors. And so nobody does because it gets really steamy and horrible in the showers. And so I leave the showers and then close all of the other doors as I walk past them because it says on the outside, please close the doors. And it makes me cross that people don't. Although I can see why they don't, but they get flies and stuff in. But it wouldn't say, please close the doors if it didn't want me to close them.
no, it'd say close if you want.
I've had a minor internal argument about whether it means close the doors when you're in the shower, but I've decided that that wouldn't be on the outside of the shower, that would be on the inside of the shower.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would.
Whereas because it's on the outside of the cubicle, it kind of to me means when you leave the shower, please close the door. And nobody does. And I get cross. I don't. I sigh and roll my eyes. That's about the level of crossness that I get, but it's enough to make me do something about it.
It's like when there's a sign in the toilet that says please wash your hands in it and then people don't and you're just like, but the sign says that you've got to do that. Like,
Well, basic hygiene knowledge already
and
there.
I always sang happy birthday because Boris told me to when even like now I'll still sing happy birthday. Was it 3 times or 2 times? 3 times.
I can't remember. That's not one that
Happy birthday
I'm on board.
twice. It was 20 seconds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Still do that now.
I see. I don't do that, but it's an amusing thing because there was
It
a meme
was,
at the time, wasn't there? That all the things you can do in 20 seconds.
I don't know, but it was nearly my birthday at the time when that came out, so it was
Lovely.
appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old COVID.
Mm.
But yeah, that's true. I mean, there's lots of reasons why it's annoying when people don't wash their hands, but the signs are one of them.
Well, yeah, there are other reasons, and the signs are there for a reason, aren't they? But
They are there
like,
for a
like
reason.
it's asking you
Um,
nicely to wash your hands, so
yeah,
like,
usually they say please, don't they?
do that, yeah.
Right. So anyway, after that
Mm.
diversion, welcome to the podcast. And how have you been, Claire? What have you been up to this past 3 weeks since we last recorded? That's probably why we're going off on tangents. We've got tangents to catch up on.
Yeah. So not a great deal, which is down probably to the fact that I have a new personal best of um vitamin deficiencies.
Whoop whoop.
Because I finally stopped thinking that I would be a bother to the doctors and rang them and said, "Can I have a blood test, please? I'm really tired." And the reason that I'm really tired, at least in part, is because I'm deficient in 3 separate vitamins. So hopefully I'll start feeling a bit better now, but I've been tired with that. I've had a lot of pain in my back, which, because it's not a pain that's there all of the time, as we've established in previous episodes, was that pain and Jeff that we talked about pain.
Yeah.
Because it's not there all of the time, it's been all I've been able to think about some days, and it's sort of been affecting my mobility a little bit as well, and getting out of bed in the morning and that sort of thing. It's been a rather spoon-free few weeks, I would say.
Hmm.
But the bonus is that I have excitingly booked a holiday, which is probably my hyper focus of the last couple of weeks, because there wasn't a possibility that we weren't going to be going on holiday this year, me and my mum, but we are now, and we booked to go to Benidorm, which is one of my like safe places because I've been there before and I know where we're going to the same hotel and I know what to expect and I know what the food's going to be like and I'm going to be with my mum and I'm going to get to have my mobility scooter again. So that's become like a hyper focus because there's a while yet before we go, but I already want it to be like tomorrow. And I've done everything that I can possibly do pre the holiday. Like I've booked fast tracks through the security. I've um sorted my insurance. I've sorted the lounge at the airport. This is where it goes into the realms of hyper focus, I think. But I've looked at the flights and whether the flight number, whether it's on time when it goes.
Oh, regularly.
Yeah.
Do you watch it on Flight Radar?
No, you can look at the past 7 days of the flight number and whether it takes off on time.
Oh, okay. I like Flight
Um,
Radar. That's one of
I
my things. That
love,
is the best thing.
I love it. Like if there's a plane, this is a tangent, but if there's a plane going over this house, I need to know where it's going.
I often wonder, but then don't actually have the motivation to look. But
Oh no. There
but
was one
flight,
yesterday. I was in the garden with the dog and there was a plane going over and I'm just like, I need to know where that
that's
is
good.
going and went back inside and got my phone so I could find out where the plane had been going.
I always worry that if I do that, then by the time I've got it open, then the plane will have because there's a lot of planes go over here because we're on
Well, there will be,
Manchester
yeah.
Airport. So I always think that there's no point in me opening that because by the time I've got on, it'll be another plane, and the one that I've looked at will already be at Manchester Airport, and therefore I'll never know
Mm,
which one it was, and then I'll get more frustrated. But I think if I wasn't in the direct flight path for Manchester Airport, it would be a little bit different. So many
it,
planes go over here.
it used to be a bit of a gamble because obviously we used to have an airport here. So there used to be airspace. But I think because there isn't an air traffic control in Doncaster anymore, they've closed the airspace. So there's a lot less planes than
Oh.
there were.
I keep meaning to take my son down to Manchester Airport to see all the planes from the viewing deck thing, but we haven't been yet. I still haven't taken him, and he's nearly 7.
You
So
should do. I bet you really enjoy it. I'd
I'm
like to come with you.
hoping
In
because
fact, can we
he's
go together?
he's scared of flying, so I'm hoping that I need to try and introduce him to planes because I want to take him somewhere.
And I can tell him that all the different, they've got license plates. This is definitely a like not a thing a normal person would know, but like
Fine.
it's going into plane spotter territory now, and I'm not a plane spotter, but like
Yeah.
planes from our country have got license plates that start with a G.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they've all
Have
got
they?
their like own unique. So if you've flown on a plane before.
Where is it on the
It's
plane?
like usually towards the back or the underside. It'll go G dash something or other. So
All
you'll
right.
know like if you've flown on a plane before.
I mean, I
Because
have flown on a plane.
no, but the same plane as you've already
Oh,
been
you've
on.
never, right.
Which is
You
less
will if you
likely
pay
for
attention.
you, but like there were only a certain amount of planes at Doncaster Airport, so I was like, I'm sure I've flown on this plane before, and yeah.
Oh, well, I might pay more attention.
But yeah, so that was
Benidorm.
my hyper focus of the week, and your hyper focus of the week, or your week, is it's slightly linked. Not being to Benidorm.
No, but we've been on holiday, so that's the reason why it's been 3 weeks. The main reason why it's been 3 weeks since the last episode, because we have been on holiday. I was very sensible and booked 3 holidays in 1 week because that's what a normal person does. So we were in Scotland for 2 days because my son really wanted to see the Welcome to Scotland sign with the flag. He also wanted to go to the glamping place we went to last year. So I thought, oh, well, that's about halfway back. So we'll go there on the way back. And then I'd also booked a stargazing experience in the Brecon Beacons for my fiance's Christmas present last year, and we had to reschedule that. So that ended up being the same week as we were away. So we had 2 nights in Scotland, 2 nights in Barrow in Furness, one night at home, and then 2 nights in Wales. And I don't sleep very well the first night I stay somewhere. I find it really difficult to relax. And I know that'll be the tism. And
Hmm.
so I didn't really sleep very well. I had 4 beds over 5 days last week. And one of them was in a caravan and one was in a glamping pod. And yeah, so I haven't really slept for a while. And then last night I had a nightmare. It's back to school this week and I'm tired. But the holiday was really good. Like last time we went on holiday back in at the end of May in half term, and I came back and I was like, oh, dysregulation, da, 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 da. We had a really stressful time. But we didn't have a stressful time. It was really nice. My son had the time of his life. We went to the beach. This was a proper sandy beach. I don't think he'd really been to a sandy beach before. And he just got like, I've got photos of him. He had these red shorts on and they were just sand. He was essentially a sand monster. He had the time of his life with the other kids we went with, and he loves being in the outdoors and camping. And so the camping place was great for him, and there was more beaches and more rocks to collect and more shells to collect, and he had an amazing few days when we were with him. And then we went to Wales and it was really cloudy, so we didn't really see very many stars, but we did see some. And I'm a little bit obsessed with the sky, and we saw the Milky Way, and we only had about 15 minutes. It was an hour and a half stargazing experience, but because of the weather, they did an astronomical talk, which was really good. But we did get a break in the clouds, which nobody expected, and it was beautiful. And I'm hopeful that we can go back. But by the time it got to the Friday, which was our 6th day of holiday, we were in an Airbnb in Wales and we were just like, I wanted to go for a hike. And we were both just like, no. So we kind of guessed that that might happen. So we did take an exit board game, which, if you've never done one, they're amazing. They were like escape rooms in boxes. And then we went for tea at a pub, and then we went home and played another game, and then went to bed early because we had to set off at 6:30 the next morning to drive home. And it was quite intense because we had to pick my son up by 11:30. So it's been a really intense time. I am very tired. It's the first day of September and it's back to normality, and it's not been the productive day that I wanted it to be, but in reality, I shouldn't have expected it to be.
No, because it's a transition back to a routine, isn't it?
And I mean, you have to give yourself time at the start of September if you're a parent and your kids are going back to school, and when you come back from holiday, and to have both of the things happen on the same day, um, you know,
Yeah, it
it's not.
wasn't the
So
best
yeah, I
plan.
mean, we've spent a lot of time outside, and it's been really great. And I really hope that it's a sign of future holidays, because when we went away in May, it was so stressful. Whereas this time, yes, it was draining, but we all had a nice time.
But at
Uh,
least you've sort of recognised all of that, and it's not like it's the last holiday that you'll ever have, and the next one that you have, you can think, well, I'll build some more like rest time. I mean, my ideal holiday would be 7 days of doing nothing.
yes,
But I know that
exactly.
that's not everybody's because of the sort of it's that we've talked before about understimulation, haven't we? And I think a lot of people, if they were, and I do get like that if I'm not on a holiday, I get the guilt of like I'm sat here doing nothing, I'm wasting my time off. It's
Now,
not recharging me doing this, but
I think this is one of the big conflicts between ADHD and autism, and ADHD. ADHDers have often have an issue where we need to recharge, but we can't. Like, we can't recharge because we have to be doing. Sitting doing nothing is just my idea of a bad time. Most of the time, I wouldn't want to be sat. I like the idea of sitting doing nothing, but when it comes to it, I'm itching to do the next thing. It's like having a motor in your brain. That's the ADHD. That's the um, need to be doing. And so for me, walking along a beach with my son running around like a crazy person, like he was. Oh, he nearly got stranded. That was a stressful moment. You know how the tide comes in really fast sometimes?
mm,
Well, we were on the beach in Barrow and he was out at the edge of the sea, and I noticed that the sea was coming round. It happened when your wedding week, didn't it?
yeah,
Your
our
wedding week
friend
nearly
and my
got,
husband both got like stranded on some rocks, I think.
they had to
They
do
walked
some
out to the
parkour,
rocks,
didn't they?
and then they had to like, yeah.
To
It was
get back.
nearly like the
Yeah.
shortest marriage in the history of time because
Yeah.
my husband nearly died the day after the wedding.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, we were
Not
on the
really.
beach and the water was coming, and I was just like, right, like my fiance had already gone, and I was like, right, you need to follow me really quick. And I went back and he wasn't following me because he was scared. And I was just like, oh, you need to follow me. And then he got upset because he was panicking and the sea was coming, and then he ran back towards the sea. And in the end, my fiance like went back over, and then I just waded through back with him, like carrying him. But other than times like that, walking along a beach with the sea and the rocks and the general nice sensoriness of the wind and that kind of activity is the best way for me to recharge. The amount of times we spent, the amount of time we spent near the sea, but doing was really helpful for my brain in a lot of ways, because it just, the noise of the sea is the noise that I imagine if I need to think of a relaxing noise. So, aside from the child almost getting stranded on the beach sort of moment, like 10 minutes of stress, Next time, I will not do 3 holidays in a week.
That's what I mean. You'll
Different
just know for
locations. I will
next time
learn. I'll learn. Hopefully, I'll learn. Anyway, yeah, yeah, we'll
what you
see.
did find most relaxing.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
you
This time
didn't.
next year, we'll see what I've done for summer and how close everything was together. But yeah,
We can review it. We can have like a, like on TV programs where they have a bit of a look back episode, a compilation episode.
yeah,
We can have one of those where we just
compare and contrast. How much?
compare all the times we've given each other advice and then not listened to it,
Yeah,
or said we're going to do something and then not done it because that'll be the tism.
maybe next year I'll do 4 in a week. No, no, Emma,
No,
no.
I think that would give me palpitations. As a person who is thrilled at the idea of going to exactly the same place as I went last year, and if I could go at the same time, probably I would as well.
It was
Mm.
nice because I don't often go back to the same place, but the glamping place that we went to last year that my son's been asking to go back to, that was where we stayed. We stayed there for 2 nights.
Ah, right, yeah.
So returning there was quite nice.
I think I wouldn't necessarily want to go to the same place every year, but looking back at holidays that I've been to and then I've been back again, they're always the ones that I enjoy the most because you can sort of relax into it straight away and you know where everything is. And
Yeah. Anyway,
so,
the main segment. Are you ready, Claire, for a rave?
yes, always.
Minimized it and I can't find it. Hang on. There we go.
That was more hours than usual.
It was because it was 15 seconds because I minimized the thing and couldn't find it.
I enjoyed it anyway.
So we've had a listener request that is
Mm.
actually a listener request that is there's fruit flies in my no there isn't, I think.
Emma, we're recording a podcast. Just to remind you.
We've had a listener request. Yeah, but my office has been overtaken by fruit flies again. I need to sort it.
You know, it doesn't tend to happen to me, but I think that that is because we've got absolute masses of spiders in our house and they take care of all the flies,
I
don't they?
had one. I had one on my shoulder. See,
Did it
I
bite
don't
you?
mind spiders. No. I
I
did have a
don't.
bite here, actually, randomly, which I have a feeling might have been something like a spider. But the other night, I went into the bathroom and I came back into the bedroom and I was like, oh, there's something on me. And I looked like this, like round slightly to see my shoulder, and there was this spider just on my shoulder. So I just cupped it with my hand and just like flicked it across the bedroom. I mean, I don't mind spiders, but I like literally looked round and it was just perched on my shoulder, like starting to crawl down my front. Massive, absolutely enormous it was. Yeah.
We've had one living in the shower and it was there for so long that we named it.
See, I
It was
call all of
called
mine little spider.
Raymond.
Raymond, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant
Yes.
name for a spider.
But eventually, because I needed a shower, I had to relocate him to the outside windowsill because I've got a spider
Ah,
catcher. But every morning, Raymond would come and like watch me have a wee,
nice.
a bit of a chat with him, and then he'd go. And I know this isn't a normal thing to admit,
I think
but
it's fine. I'm with you on it.
we're that type of podcast now, aren't we? Just had a bit, bit of a chat to him in the morning, and so I was a bit sad to have to put him out of the window.
Why couldn't
I
you just
don't.
relocated him to a different part of the bathroom?
Well, no, because he was like in the bottom of the shower.
Yeah.
And I thought if I put him somewhere else, there's a danger that he'll just get out and go wandering, which I wouldn't have been happy with.
Oh,
Unless I just put him in the sink or something and then relocated him back to the shower after I'd had the shower. But having to do that every time I needed a shower just seemed
seemed extreme.
a bit of a task. So
Yeah.
Raymond's hopefully living his best life somewhere else now.
Fingers crossed. I
Um,
call them all Mr. Spider. But I do have conversations with if there's a spider in the vicinity and I can see them, especially if they're big enough to like have a conversation with. Not that I'm sizist or anything, but I think that bigger spiders look like they'd be capable of quite decent conversations
Yeah,
Oh,
it was like having like a little tiny pet. I mean, I've got a dog, I know, but like having another dog that just
yeah,
lived in my
sounds good.
shower.
Yeah, just
And he'd come round every morning, just like,
morning,
hey.
Raymond. I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah. And this has got absolutely Jeffel to do with the main segment, but I really want to keep it in.
The spiders thing. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
There's lots of tangents this week. Anyway,
Mm.
we've had a listener request. It's an actual request about something about autism. So we decided that that's what we would talk about this week.
Yeah.
It was exciting. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, then we will gladly talk about it. It might be mixed up with all sorts of other stuff, but we will talk about it. So this week we are going to talk about perimenopause. I briefly will touch on, to start with, if you are ADHD, the interaction between estrogen and dopamine, which is the biggest reason why perimenopause impacts ADHDers, and why a lot of women going through perimenopause think that A, they're just losing the plot, B, they might have dementia, and C, think that they've got ADHD even if they don't. It's one of the reasons why they ask for childhood examples of ADHD, especially in older women, because of estrogen. Because as the estrogen changes in the brain, it causes brain fog and memory loss. And this is good because I'm the way where I am in my cycle means that I am not remembering anything at the moment. But it causes a lot of executive function issues that can also look like ADHD. So for ADHDers, their traits of ADHD already get worse because of estrogen and dopamine. And that's why it can be more beneficial than usual for HRT. But there are natural ways to supplement estrogen and with different foods and changing your diet and exercising and all that stuff. But it is worth researching. Whereas in the podcast, with it being a podcast about the Tism, we're going to focus more on the ways that when you are perimenopausal, it can impact autism and worsen the autistic side of things, which is less to do with the hormones and more to do with the experience and the unpredictability and the change in what you've been used to for the last 20 to 30 years. And I think that's a reasonable introduction to the main segment.
Yeah.
I think I've said enough about the ADHD side. I could talk about it for a lot longer, but if anyone wants to talk to me about this, please do not hesitate to message us. And, there's things that I can refer you to on the ADHD side, but from the autism side.
I think it's important though, because if you think about the fact that a large majority of people that are ADHD will also be autistic,
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's
there will
more
be people
autistic.
that are listening to this that aren't just autistic or
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like, there's 50 to 70% of
Mhm.
autistic people are also ADHD, which is a big amount. It's one of the most
Yeah,
comorbid
so it's
conditions,
not,
and it's not
it'll still be
completely irrelevant.
useful to, yeah.
Obviously, myself being an ADHD person, but I think a small overview. I don't want to use the whole main segment on talking about ADHD because with autism, you might be thinking, um, because the hormone side of things isn't as big a deal, you might be thinking, oh, well, it shouldn't be impacting me. But there's obviously lots of reasons why perimenopause worsens autistic
Hmm.
traits or is harder with autism. So that's kind of less spoken about. There's less research and there's less done about that and spoken about that online if you search, because it's more focused on the hormone side of things and the estrogen and whatnot.
I think there has to be some sort of correlation between it though, doesn't there? Because of
I mean,
if
there
you
is.
look at the amount of autistic women that are late diagnosed, and I know part of that will be because of the criteria being geared towards diagnosing boys in childhood, but still, I think that perhaps if you've been able to mask for 30 odd years and then you're getting to the point where you are perimenopausal and you're finding things more difficult
Yeah.
and you're finding it more difficult to mask.
Yeah.
I think there is definitely still something to it in there
Oh,
that
definitely. And I mean, some people say that it's like you get to the age where you just can't be asked. You just can't be asked to mask anymore because it's too much effort. But I think that's largely to do with the general um, lethargy, and often we beat ourselves up more for not being able to mask, even though we're saying, "Oh, I don't care what people think anymore." It just becomes harder. And then the cycles, because you do still have cycles until apparently there is a mystery time after menopause where you don't your cycles aren't as pronounced, which I think it sounds like a wonderful time. But like as the hormones of perimenopause impact us more um, at certain times of the month, our moods and physical sensations, and I mean from my experience, because I've been perimenopausal now for 2.5 years, um, and I had a load of stuff that I don't need to talk about that it's not been confirmed. It's still not been confirmed by a doctor because I still haven't made an appointment, and I need to make an appointment, like desperately need to make a freaking appointment to speak to a GP about it, because when I went for my 40 plus check, which was back in April, they said to me that my GP doesn't go off blood tests. Now, there's a lot of GPs use blood tests to define whether someone's perimenopausal or not. And my old GP did, which is why I was told 2.5 years ago that I'm not perimenopausal, even though I had a lot of the symptoms, is because the blood tests are like a moment in time. So if you have a GP that goes completely off blood tests, then try to get a second opinion and speak to someone who works based on symptoms, because the symptoms that your body is changing, and as things change, like when we've been having periods for nearly 30 years and then all of a sudden everything changes and cycles are different and moods are different and the periods themselves are different, then it's a sign that things are changing. It's not a nothing. And so it can be a sign of perimenopause, and it often is a sign of perimenopause, even though your body is not showing medically what it should be showing. My first symptom was itching. I got really itchy, like my legs were really itchy and my stomach was really itchy. And I didn't realise that that was a symptom of perimenopause until I was talking to a perimenopause expert. And then I was like, oh, that's a thing. And obviously, with autism, skin sensitivities are more pronounced. So those kinds of traits that are like sensory are more pronounced in autistic people because we notice more when things change on our skin. Like my everything has got really dry, my scalp's got really dry. But then I've started having this weird, this is like mildly like TMI probably. I'm going to start oversharing about my body now. But I've started having this weird thing where at certain parts of my cycle, I like sweat oil, essentially, like sebum. And so my skin gets really greasy, like behind my ears. And as a stim of mine, I like scratch like under my glasses, like behind my ears. And last month, which was the first time I'd got this weird sebum thing, when it was hot, I like put my finger behind my ear in the middle of the night and it was oily. And I just was like, oh my Lord, this is just the most disgusting thing. And it was behind my ears and then at the back of my neck was like really oily. And it's just like, the rest of me's dry as a bone. Why have I in these particular areas, which are the ones that I happen to touch the most, am I oily all of a sudden? Because I don't know, I don't like oil, I don't like slime, and I freak out. And it's like, why is my body doing this to me? It's not happy. It's not a happy time. And then, as I said to you a couple of weeks ago, my periods are becoming less regular, and it's part of my routine. It's part of my month. they've always been on time, I've always been prepared, and now I have to be more prepared for a wider range of time, which with ADHD is hard because it's difficult to be prepared at any time. But like I went to my mum's and had to go out and buy products because I was not expecting a period and one happened. And I don't buy, I use reusable. So I got frustrated at myself for that. And yeah, it was generally annoying and yeah.
I
So
think when you start thinking about the fact that if nothing else, it's a change from something that you've known since like for
yeah,
20, 30 years to something different, even if it's a gradual change. And then one of the biggest parts of autism that I know I struggle with is change.
yeah,
So of course it's going to be difficult, and even just something changing is a bit of a trigger then, isn't it, to become dysregulated and overwhelmed.
yeah,
And it's not only that, but it's making you overwhelmed, but you're less able sometimes to regulate yourself again because your hormones
yeah,
are at play and you're more emotional than you would otherwise be, more anxious than you would otherwise be. I tend to like sort of, especially more recently, get more emotional towards like the time that it's supposed to start. And then it will start, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's what that was. Like, I've just been having a bit of an emotional breakdown all of this week.
yeah.
That's what it, well, that's what that is.
And even if people haven't really struggled with PMT, it can. I mean, I always have. I've always been really hormonal around certain times of the month. And that is more common with ADHD because of the link with estrogen and dopamine. Um, it's more common for PMT, and as you age, PMDD, which is like PMT just magnified by 100 or more. Um, and that is something that is increasingly common around for perimenopause because of the more extreme fluctuations in hormones and how they interact. And with the forgetfulness and stuff and your moods, you make more mistakes, you trip over yourself more. Again, the perfectionism comes in, and you're like, what's happening to my brain? It's the same when
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy happens. It's like your brain just melts, and all of a sudden you can't do the things that you've always been able to do. And then you get frustrated with yourself more, and then you beat yourself up more. And then because your hormones are all over the place and you're more emotional, then you get frustrated at yourself for reacting more than you normally would have. And there's lots of things that are different in how we perceive things, how we hear things, how we feel, you know, and you can think, this isn't me, this isn't what I do, this isn't how I react, I'm capable of XYZ, and all of a sudden you're not capable of it because of
Mm.
perimenopause, and then that can be, but if I can't do this, then what can I do? And everything's falling apart and life is pain, so on and so forth. So it does tend to spiral, and the issue with that happening when you are autistic is that because of the black and white thinking, it's like, this is it now. My life is over. My brain is never going to work again. And adjusting to the fact that there is a new normal and it's not necessarily the end of the world.
I think
Um,
the thing is as well, like you were just saying then about thinking that sort of it's never going to get any better, and that's a big the autistic thing, isn't it? That you struggle to
yeah,
see the bigger picture of
yeah,
things. You
black
think
and
that
white.
because something is like that, it's always going to be like that, and
Mhm.
we don't always ask for help with issues when we need them, or we might go to the doctor and say, I'm feeling really anxious, I'm feeling symptoms that could also be attributed to perimenopause. And because you're autistic, the doctor will say, well, that's your autism. And you'll
Well,
be,
yeah. There's a lot that can be dismissed, and knowing that it's okay to say this is what I think it is. I mean, it's the
yeah.
same if you go for an assessment in autism. It's okay to be the expert to a degree about your own brain and your own body, and to say, I have been researching this a lot because I'm autistic. I've waited until I'm 100% sure, pretty much, before I've come in. But to say to your GP, this is what I strongly suspect and this is why. And the thing that I always recommend people do is to track symptoms, although it might seem, why would you do that? I mean, a lot of people sort of relate tracking symptoms to trying to get pregnant, but also it's really handy because if you know that on a certain weeks this is going to be happening with your body and your brain and your emotions, then you can prepare for that. And although it seems strange to track something when all it is for your own planning, and I suppose there's a frustration because it feels like you shouldn't need to, but like because like heartburn, for example, I know I get heartburn in the middle of the month and then when I'm on my period, and that's when I usually get my mood swings are the worst just before that happens, and certain things happen at certain times of the month, and those things it's useful to track. And if you're having a particularly difficult week and you're being harsh on yourself a lot more than you normally would, or things are impacting you a lot more than they normally would, then it can be useful to track. I mean, there's apps like Balance, for example, that where you can track symptoms.
So I was thinking I'd done it for when I was getting a lot of headaches, and I'd find it was other ways around the time leading up to the start. But it is also, I know you said it seems a bit like, why am I just doing it for myself? But it is also potentially evidence that you can take to a
Yeah,
GP and go, I've been tracking this.
they do pay
Things are getting
attention.
close together. I'm having this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. What can we do about it? And it's evidence then that
Yeah,
you've been having those symptoms for a prolonged period and you've thought about it. And also, I tend to, I don't know if this is a me thing or a Tism thing. I'm suspecting probably a Tism thing, but people will say, no, it definitely is. People will say to me, how are you? And I'll say, yeah, I'm all right, because I've sort of like put all of the things that happened 2 weeks ago in my cycle to
yeah,
the back of my brain until it happens again.
yeah.
Whereas if you track it, you can say, oh, yeah, actually, a couple of weeks ago, this did happen to me,
And I mean,
which
this is why today I'm really like, I need to go to the GP because I'm mid-month. I'm like 2 weeks in, roughly, just under. And I know that this is the time when my moods are impacted the most, but because it's a mid-month, like the mid-month times never used to bother me. My cycle impacted me a couple of days before my period and while my period was happening, and that's it until like 6 months to a year ago. And now I'm just as bad around when I would have been ovulating. And that's when I need to see a GP, because if I don't, then it'll be the end of the month and then it'll be mid-month.
oh,
It just keeps like being put off and put off and put off and put off because I have other things that are more important all the time. And I know that. And it's a
I can
difficult.
just send you a message every day and I will do that.
Thanks. Yeah.
As
I
I've said before, you give a person with autism a job and they're going to do it. So if you
know.
task me with it, and I will make sure that you go to the doctors.
So I'll update everyone on progress on that as time goes. I should be getting medication for ADHD at some point as well over the next 3 weeks.
Very good.
Fingers crossed. The
We
thing is,
try
I'm
not to be medical.
fully expecting when I go on my ADHD meds for my autistic traits to be enhanced, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not particularly looking forward to trying medication. But I will keep everyone posted on my progress on that front
It
because
might it might awaken your autism superpowers.
maybe
Mm.
that's going to be
Well,
an
that would be
exciting
interesting because
venture.
we can talk about
Yeah.
you'll have experienced autism almost fully for the first time, won't you?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether I'm experiencing autism fully. For all I know, I could be ADHD as well. But considering that we've already spoken in the podcast about how my dream recharge is just sitting and doing nothing, and you're just like, no, the ADHDs.
Yeah, I
I
think
can't think of anything worse. And that does make sense because your brain constantly wants to be doing something, whereas my brain constantly wants to be doing nothing.
yeah. Yeah. I would like to be able to do nothing. I like the idea of doing nothing, but I don't like the actual thing.
You'll start taking your ADHD medication, and your dream holiday will be coming to Benidorm with me.
I mean, I would like to come to Benidorm with you anyway.
You can come on my scooter, it'll be amazing.
That's basically one of the main reasons
The
why I want to ride on the back of a motorised.
I think it helps with the autism as well because it's like a bubble that's around you. So whereas like it might be a busy place that's full of people and you go, if I was walking through that, it would be my worst nightmare. Have to
Make
like
space.
part the sea to let you through, or they don't have to. They can just pretend that you don't exist. But it is a bit of a protective thing as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really excited about it.
Right, so that's the main segment
With a little
in
side of
lots of little sides of things.
yeah,
And Benidorm can be interjected in the podcast
yeah.
in many
So
places.
spiders, Benidorm. Uh,
All sorts. I
and
hope that that's
now,
been helpful.
yeah.
I don't want to talk about the other sensory aspect that I mentioned about actual
Well,
graphic.
it's not the nicest thing in the world to experience, is it? For
It's not, and then it gets worse. So it's like, it's anyway, we don't need to talk about that. If anyone wants to talk to me about periods, then please do message me. I'm happy to talk
yeah,
about things
please.
on a less public basis. But hopefully it's been helpful to have the acknowledgement that it is a thing.
It definitely is.
I think that it's becoming more acknowledged how much of an impact our hormones have on us. Things that wouldn't necessarily be seen as having been related to the menopause, like forgetfulness and stuff like that, are now known to be linked to the hormones and stuff. So I think it's becoming something that is more discussed and more researched and
It definitely is like you wouldn't have necessarily had support groups and things
no,
even 10, 15 years ago.
no. But anyway, right, main segment done. We've got
Tick.
trait of the week.
Trait of the week is uh, neglecting needs.
Interoception, isn't it? Issues with interoception. Because interoception is the feeling of acknowledging hunger and thirst and other bodily
Mm,
needs. And a lot of people who are autistic and ADHD, or either one, have problems in prioritizing eating or drinking or both. And sometimes it's getting hyper focused in something and forgetting that you need to, and other times you just don't feel hungry
mm,
until you're absolutely ravenous, and so you just don't do the thing. Drinking, I think, is more of an issue for a lot of people than eating, but also
yeah.
eating. I mean, I know that I don't drink enough. I don't feel thirst until I'm absolutely there's Claire having a
No, it's
drink.
what made me think I need to have a
And
drink, whereas
also
I've
I
just
do, but I'm
done.
slightly concerned because there's so many fruit flies that I'm going to end up eating a fruit fly
It's
or
something
drinking
that I
milk.
definitely struggle with because I'll regularly go full days without eating, or I'll make a cup of tea in the morning and it'll still be there on an evening because I'll get that into what I'm doing at work that I won't feel the thirst or the hunger until I finish, and then that's all I can think about. I'll regularly do that, and then my husband will come home and I'll say to him, I haven't eaten all day, I need to like eat now. I'm almost immediately hungry because now I can think about it and I'm not distracted by something else. But definitely thirst. I don't drink water really hardly ever unless I make a conscious effort to.
Yeah, and it's really, really important to drink because of our brains,
Mm-hmm.
especially with menopause that we've just been talking about, and all the changes in the body and brain function and energy and everything. Water is like the most important thing, but we just don't feel until it gets to a point where it's like, oh crap. And I mean, saying that, I have just realised that I've not eaten since breakfast. So, oops.
Well, I will regularly not have breakfast, you know. I can't remember the last time that I did.
See, I have to have breakfast because I wake up hungry. Like every day, most days, I wake up hungry and I'm making it for my son. Normally, it's one of the first things I do when I get home from dropping him off is I have my breakfast and my matcha, and that's like the start of my working day. I don't function very well at all if I've not eaten anything. So usually I have my breakfast just after I've dropped him off. But the food thing, I just kind of carry on and just keep putting it off. And part of it is also the effort required. Like I've said to you quite a few times, keep something by your desk that you can access quickly. She says, I have got some fruit and seed oatcakes in my drawer that I usually have when I've realised that I haven't eaten, but I'm still in the middle of something. I can't stop working or whatever I'm doing to go downstairs, or I'm just about to go into a meeting or whatever. And I'll have some oatcakes. And then my fiance will say, what have you eaten? And I'll say, I had some oatcakes. And then he looks at me as if to say, that's it's
Yeah,
not.
that's what happens to me. The day that I messaged you about it, my husband shouted about the gnocchi that he'd left me. The oven's already on the temperature you need it to be on,
Oh,
so you just need to put it in. The oven really scares me. You know when something's like, oh, put it in the oven for 190 for 20 minutes and then you do it and it's not ready. When the instructions don't match the result
yeah,
and you have to use your own executive judgment, I'm just like, I have not got that capacity. What do I do now? So he tends to make food as easy as possible for me to do. If I'm cooking for myself, I will have really simple things that I just have to put water in, or a sandwich or something like that that I can't mess up, because if it in any way messes up, I just don't know what to
yeah,
do, which is probably another reason why I
yeah,
don't tend to have food until later on in the day, because if I'm busy at work, it's a stress that I don't need.
yeah. I mean, it's making it as easy as possible is one of the important things. But I mean, another thing is it's not just about not feeling hungry, it can also be about not recognizing fullness. So, like when we do start eating, that's why a lot of neurodivergent people have eating disorders in one way or another, because we either don't feel hungry or we binge and then don't recognize that we've had enough as quickly. So, it's kind of the stress of having to do it,
Hmm.
knowing what to do, knowing that you've done it right, knowing that you're not going to give yourself food poisoning or,
Well,
cause illness, and then also making the time for it, prioritizing it. Know that there's the whole like self-worth. Yes, your lunch is just as important as your client or your work is kind of a difficult one to swallow sometimes because of low self-worth being a significant issue with a lot of neurodivergent people. And then the whole interoception, not being able to sense when we are hungry and having to remind ourselves to eat and drink in a way that is effective, which, yeah, there's a lot of patience involved.
hmm. Another thing that you've just reminded me of is a thing that I've seen was that neurodivergent Lou that had said there's a reason why neurodivergent people will tend to err towards processed food rather
Oh, yeah.
than fruit and veg, because if you get a punnet of strawberries from the shop, you can get ones that are a bit soggy or a bit smaller or a bit larger, or some of them sometimes will have a bit of mold on them or whatever. Whereas if you get a packet of crisps, generally, you know what you're having, especially if you get the ones that are in the tubes, that every single one's exactly the same and it tastes exactly the same.
Yeah.
And when you're low on spoons, the easiest thing to do is just to have something that you know isn't going to cause you a problem.
Yeah. And even if you think about it so far as down to like potato products, if you get potato waffles, they're always potato waffles. They're always the same. They're
Mm-hmm.
always the same shape, the same consistency, same cook time. Whereas if you get a baked potato, one baked potato could take like so long to cook, and another baked potato could take a longer or shorter, and you don't know what the texture is going to be like, and if it's slightly
Mm-hmm.
different, and all the rest of it. And it can just be that one step of overwhelm too far
Yeah.
for our brains to handle. And it's an area where you can gain control. Like diets are an area where generally, especially as adults, we can take full control. And in a world where people don't have a lot of control over their own life in a lot of ways in what's going on, like politically or work or traffic or, other people generally, because we can never control the thoughts or reactions or actions of other people. So what we can control is what we put into our own bodies. And so that tends to be a common thing that becomes an issue or becomes something that we obsess over because it is something that we can control, apart from when we forget. And then, with all the good
Mm.
intentions in the world, when our body's sensory systems and sensing systems don't work and our prioritization goes to pot, and we're like, it's 4:30 and you realize you haven't eaten since 10 a.m. and need to. So that's a trait.
So what we're gonna did we now talk about the podcast name?
We need to talk about Les.
Mm.
So last podcast we were talking about Les Puzzles. That was the name of the podcast, was Les Puzzles, which is a great name for a podcast, or a great name for anything, or a great name for a person. If anyone wants to change the name to Les Puzzles by deed poll and let us know, that would be great, and I encourage that. But I've not taken any responsibility for your
You
actions.
definitely should. We've been referring to Les for the past few weeks and how Les is doing. I think he's
He's doing very
become
well.
Yeah.
As a podcast, he's doing exceptionally well, and we're very proud of him.
I'm proud of Les. But he was it when we were saying that baby echidnas are called puggles?
Puggles. Yeah, baby echidnas are called puggles, and it somehow got Les Puzzles out of that.
Kept changing echidnas to kidneys as well, didn't it? That was
Kidneys,
another.
a kidney eye. Yeah, there was loads of kidney-based
Kidneys are
things.
called Les.
Kidneys, yeah.
Knuckles isn't a kidney.
Yeah.
So that was a fruitful description.
Yeah, it was.
Do you know one of our listeners did not know that we named our podcast episodes after descriptisms and that there was a game to try and figure out when we'd said them?
I mean, we're not expecting anyone to do it, are we really? Let's be realistic about it.
It's mostly just that we write them down as we're editing the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a waste not to put them anywhere. So we put them
fun.
there for...
It's fun because it's often quite amusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of laughter happens in our editing process.
I mean, people might be joining us now and not have listened to the past 10 episodes and not know that this game exists. But in our description of our podcast every time, there is a list of descriptisms that we haven't used, and the podcast is always named after our favourite
one. Yeah, we often have
favourite one.
We usually align, don't we, pretty much?
We do. It's usually like Payne and Jeff, when that nearly killed Emma, we thought that was apt. I was also struggling with life because of Jeff. And then Les Puzzles was just a lovely...
It's nice, isn't it? You just have this lovely image of Les.
Oh, was it you that had said it could be French as well? Like Les Puzzles.
Yeah, Les Puzzles.
Like Les Miserables.
Yeah, but yeah, if you don't
Les Puzzlerables.
Yeah, Les Puzzlerables.
Yeah. I'd probably watch that musical, I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely would, yeah.
When we make a musical of our podcast, which is soon to happen, it will be called Les Puzzlerables.
Write that down for future reference. When we make, that'll be the Tism the musical.
Yeah.
Who would you want to be you? Who would you want to play you in a musical?
You know, when somebody says to you, would play you in a biography of your life, I'm always like, nobody would make a biography of my life because it would be Jeffing boring.
But if they did,
I don't know.
Would you want it to be someone who you felt similar to, or someone that you would just want to meet because you would have to meet them in the process?
Well, see, I was thinking Olivia Colman's just great, isn't she? Yeah. So maybe in quirky styles, Olivia Colman, but she looks nothing like me.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't go with anyone that looks like me, because I mean, the most likened I've ever been to a celebrity was Pauline Quirk at school. My friends used to say, I know, my friends used to say that I looked like Pauline Quirk, and I'm like, well, she's a little bit old to play me, I think. But I would go for the somebody that I would want to meet because I would have to meet the person if they were playing me. Therefore, obviously, I would pick Anna Kendrick to play me.
Oh my God, that's a good choice. And then
So
if it was a musical,
then
it'd
it
be
would
fair,
work as
wouldn't
well,
it?
wouldn't it? So if you're listening, I know we're not sponsored by Anna Kendrick, but if
I'd
Anna
watch a
Kendrick,
musical with Olivia Colman and Anna Kendrick in it.
I definitely would watch that. I'd be
Yeah.
all over it. That would be great. I'd love it.
Hmm. And
So
Olivia Colman knows David Tennant and Simon Pegg.
that's true. So
So
they could be
probably they would. Oh, what if Simon Pegg was? Would I choose David Tennant to be my husband, or would I choose Simon Pegg?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. That's a difficult choice, isn't
Who
it?
would you use to use?
Who would I use? I will, if I was having to pick someone that I would want to act. Well, I mean, I would pick Ewan McGregor, wouldn't I? Let's be honest.
Hmm.
Ewan McGregor and Anna Kendrick would, yeah, I'd be happy
And
with
for a
that.
musical as well, he can definitely sing,
Yeah, he
can't
can sing as well. Yeah, I've gone on the musical side. That's totally why.
he? Hmm.
Absolutely.
I would watch that even if
I
nothing
would.
happened.
I would watch it. But yeah,
So,
there we go.
Les Puzzler is coming to a cinema near you in 2030 when our podcast is doing amazingly and decide to make a epic musical of our lives.
Yeah,
And hopefully they'll all still be available.
fingers crossed.
So
I think we've had enough tangents.
that was a tangent that we didn't expect, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have to go without an animal fact of the week.
I think so. I was going to talk about crabs, but you'll just have to wait
Do that.
until another time. Tune in to episode 12, or maybe 13, or maybe 14 of.
We have been putting crabs off a few weeks, haven't we? At this stage.
That's the episode. That's the title of the
Yeah,
podcast.
totally. If we don't get a descriptism,
Yeah.
we've been putting crabs off.
We've been
Dot, dot, dot.
fending crabs off for 11 episodes now.
Yeah.
You know, it might be crabs next time, or if you have any interesting animals that you'd like us to talk about on this podcast or hyper focus on and then talk about on this podcast, then please let us know at that'llbethetism@gmail.com or on our social media, which you can find links to on the place that I can't say.
So all of our links can be found at linktr.ee/ that'll be the tism. But as well as animals, if you have any feedback, if you have any other questions, if you would like to just say hello, please do get in touch.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for coming.
And we'll
Being a
speak to
rainbow.
you or speak at you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
Goodbye.